On this episode of the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast, we're looking at the Sean Payton era of players. We're going to figure out just how much they're already been developing within the system and just who the starters are from 2024 all the way up to 2026. All that and more starting right about now. Well, welcome in everybody to the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast. My name is Keith Brugman. I got my good friend Jody Moncrief here this evening. It's a Wednesday, as my good friend Dave Slade used to say. It's hump day. Getting you through the hump of the off season, having a little fun along the way. Can't wait to talk a little Broncos tonight. It's rainy and stormy outside. It's sunny and bright for the Denver Broncos' future. Can't wait to talk about it, man. Jody, welcome in, man. It's good to have you here, man. Like I've been calling you my OG now for a while. Love that we've been able to be talking some Broncos football, just me and you, my friend.
Yeah, kind of a down time in the off season, I guess, but we'll still find things to talk about and make the shows interesting. So,
you doing well, my friend?
all good. Other than that, after getting spanked tonight.
Jody, last time we were on here about a week ago, it was yes, Ravs win overtime, and he was caught me off guard as I didn't even realize he was watching the game, and celebrated as we were closing it out. Not celebrating as much this evening, it sounds like, though, man. Go Avs. We are the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. We do cheer for all those teams. But Jody, tonight we're talking about the Denver Broncos, and I just got to thinking about this team, this recent draft, how these players are going to fit in to Sean Payton's vision, to George Payton's vision, and how they're going to develop into the starters that we'll need them to be, as great organizations do. But then I figured, why just stop with 2026? Let's look at the Sean Payton era, 2025, 2024, and really start looking at these players, because let's face it, Jody, man, it's been quite a turnaround for this Denver Broncos team, since we've seen Sean Payton walk through those doors. Even with George Payton in the building before, I know that we had some good drafts, but man, Sean Payton, George Payton, the last 3 years, I think it'll play out to show that it's been a good 3 years.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, minus a few early mistakes in the very early. I think they've drafted really well, and you can see why a lot of people have Denver as the number one team in football right now, and why they probably have the best roster in the AFC.
Yeah. I mean, it's what a beautiful place to be. What a beautiful place to be. I mean, I still remember first training camp was the Russell Wilson first training camp for me that I ever went to. What a change it has been since that time to where we're at to now. We're not going to go that far back. We're not going to go back to the Russell Wilson days. We're going to go back, like I said, last 3 drafts, just see how Sean Payton has been doing as far as drafting and developing. I'm going to first say hello to our good friend checking in on YouTube feel that's a little bit different from Mr. Ernie Mays. Hello, Keith and Jody. Go Broncos country only. 15-2 and 0 and beyond. He's looking for a good playoff run and a fantastic season. Sorry, I had a little bit of Coca-Cola and it's right about there. So, and then I got our good friend Biggie Bronco, man. Talk about it. It's a YouTube party going on early in the comments. The posse coming in strong. Me and my family need your all's prayers. I found out yesterday that I have cancer. Biggie Bronco. It's not what I need to hear, brother. It's not what I need to hear, but you got us, man. You got us. Posse members, all the horsemen, everybody, man. We're pulling for you, Biggie. Man, if there's anything that you need, certainly reach out. If nothing else, you got my ear, my friend. I'll make time, my friend. So, yeah, are my thoughts, my hopes, my prayers are all with you, my friend. So take care, my friend. Let's talk some Broncos football. Maybe get that off your mind just a little bit, my friend. And just really quickly before we do that, Phil McLaughlin, good friend over on Facebook. Good evening, Keith and Judge, and prayers to Big E. Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. Lots of love coming in. Peter Johnson coming in. Fight hard, Big E. Absolutely, my friend. Paul's giving you some prayers and a mile high salute. And hang in there, Big E. You can fight this, he says as well, man. So I'm telling you, man, posse members, Broncos country, we're strong, man. We got your back, man. If you need us, man, we're out here anytime, Big E. Anytime. Let's try to get this back on track, though. Hopefully this helps you out, Biggie. Let's talk about, like, again, this is all about drafting and developing. Sean Payton's been big about, getting these guys on a timeline in order to hit the field. So let's just start off with that 2024 draft class, man. It's a great way to start, man, as Sean Payton comes in, and we'll just go right down the list, man. Round 1, Bo Nix. I mean, we could talk all night about Bo Nix and how he's changed this organization, but this is one place we don't have a question mark, Jody. One place we don't have a question mark, but I'll let you talk about Bo Nix and what he means to this organization a little bit.
He means everything. If you have any questions, just look at the AFC title game. We're playing for a Super Bowl and probably in contention in the fourth quarter for a Super Bowl if we have our quarterback. When you hear Diana Rossini say Sean Payton called her late at night and just left a voicemail saying, "I love my Q," that's all you need to know. You see him get into it every once in a while, but I think that's what Sean Payton wants. He didn't want a lapdog like Russell Wilson to just sit there and took it. He wants some of that banter back and forth, and they're good for each other. And Denver, this is a home run. And all the people that said, "I'll just trade back," and you could have got Brock Bowers and Bo Nix. Sean Payton, whether that's true or not, Sean Payton wasn't willing to risk not having his franchise quarterback, and they have it. So,
yeah, if you think you got your guy, you don't mess around. You go out there and you take him wherever you feel like you need him, especially when we're talking about a quarterback. Bo Nix for me, yeah, I mean, as much as I tried to put faith in Drew Lock, as much as we hoped that Russell Wilson was going to be that, all pro MVP caliber quarterback of Seattle, it wasn't until Bo Nix walked through those doors that this organization started getting back on track, because without a quarterback, it's tough to have an organization that and a team that's going to be in contention. And like you said, have you on the cusp of a Super Bowl, or certainly got you all the way to that AFC championship. So Paul's saying Bo for show. Bo for show. Which Paul, I love that, man. Phil does have a question. It's not a 2024, 2025, or 2026 player. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drop this in here right now. He says, guys, do you think we sign Mims or trade him before the season starts? What are your thoughts, man? Marvin Mims, crowded wide receiver room. We'll have a few wide receivers, obviously, we'll be talking about here in just shortly. But what are your thoughts on Marvin Mims, Jody?
I think they do neither. I think they let the season play out. Bringing in Waddle was one more receiver in the room. And they see, I guess, who grabs this number 3 wide receiver spot. You got Pat Bryant there. You've got Troy Lincoln. You got Marvin Mims there, and see who really takes hold of it. And maybe see if someone can kind of go up there and grab that number 2 spot from Sutton, where you're not paying big time money to 2 wide receivers like the Bengals. So, but I will say, for all the stuff you hear that he can't run routes and he can't do this or do that, when they throw him the ball, he catches the ball and he always manages to be open and he makes big plays. You don't see him drop the ball. So, and I'm just talking wide receiver. I'm not even getting into the fact that he's an all pro punt returner and that type of thing. So,
yeah,
he's, of all the decisions they have next year, I think he's probably the most trickiest one. What they do with him and what his value is, because I don't know what is really, if he's going to garner a big deal at wide receiver on the open market, but he's going to have play because he can return punts.
Yeah. I'll probably just mimic really quickly what you said. I think you play out this season. I think there are a lot of question marks around Marvin Mims, and like you said, I think it is the one that you have the biggest, I guess, question in your mind of which way will the Denver Broncos go, and a lot of that might just be determined upon some of these guys that we'll be talking about, some of these guys that end up filling the room as competition for Marvin Mims. Great question, Phil. Appreciate you coming in here, being part of the posse, and always playing along, always having fun with us.
And I'll add one thing on him, and he falls into like this group of Jaquan McMillan, Riley Moss, some of these other guys that are due for contracts. I don't think Denver's trading any of them now, especially. They're in, if they weren't an all in last year, they're 100% all in now, and if they can win a ring this year, and that means you can't bring Riley Moss back or whoever, or Marvin Mims, so be it, because they got the ring with him. The only way I see that little group of guys getting traded is if an important piece goes down and you are deep at one spot where you can trade at the deadline. But right now there's no reason to, and I don't even think they're entertaining it. So,
I would agree with that 100%. If you look at this team and the way they did go about things, they had opportunities. They could have moved off of players, traded players, done a lot of different things. They just want to add at this point. They'll have some decisions to make, but right now, just adding. Here, I got to talk about maybe my first real question mark on here, man. Jonah Ellis. I guess, I hear Kenny Kirkpatrick beat up about Savion Jones and Q Robinson so often. Maybe I'm having that dribble into me. 3rd round draft pick, Jonah Ellis. And as much as he's a contributor, he certainly hasn't been like a needle mover so far in his career with the Denver Broncos. Still looking for more, I think, from Jonah Ellis, and maybe this is the season, as it is for a lot of players, that 3rd year to kind of make or break. I'm looking for more from Jonah Ellis, and was hoping maybe for a little bit more when we drafted him. What are your thoughts, Jody?
I think he's probably someone said it in their Weapon X, and I say that because they've moved him to a new position this year. He's playing middle linebacker, and Denver really didn't address it till the last pick in the draft.
Mm.
So I think they are counting a lot on him, to grab that number 3 linebacker and roll with it. So I think he's got a lot on his plate and a lot on his shoulders as to Denver's in a lot. I think that's the one position that they are. If he doesn't pan out at middle linebacker position, what? I mean, their depth is not good there, and um, so I think he's kind of the key piece.
Yeah, he's going to be a key piece, and I hope he shows out, I guess you could say, in that position, because it is the one question mark that I kind of run across. Honestly, even if you go through the rest of this draft and we'll go to the very next piece, you go to Troy Franklin, an obvious contributor and a guy in that wide receiver room that is going to be competing. This is a guy that, you know, for all intents and purposes, has the future right in front of him. It's well within his grasp, and having that relationship with Bo Nix only helps things. What do you think about Troy Franklin? Again, round 4 pick for in 2024, where he's at in his draft and develop.
I think he's taking big strides. I mean, he had his best season last year. Him and Bo. I mean, he was Bo's number 1 or close to it, number 1 target last year. And he made clutch plays last year. So I think his stock is going up. And for as much as I bag on him for the drops and stuff, he's the one guy in there that has the size and the speed. And if he can put it all together, that just makes Denver that much more explosive. I would really like to see him or Pat Bryant, one of those two guys, grab a hold of that or fight for that number 2 position where it might make it a little easier to see. And this is not a shot at Sutton at all or anything, but you can move on from him and feel confident with the guys behind him just because of the amount of money you're paying him.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be such an interesting training camp, I think, when it comes to this wide receiver room, because there is, with Waddle and Mims and Franklin, and I mean, it just seems, and Sutton, and you just keep adding and adding and adding and adding, it seems like, to this wide receiver room, and a lot of guys that'll be fighting for competition for not only this year but future years. Troy Franklin is right in that mix. I don't know what's up with Facebook, by the way, but it's not been very nice to me as of lately as far as showing me stars. I see that Michael's coming in here and saying he has Facebook stars for us. I was trying to figure out which comment he was potentially putting that with, and I don't see a comment other than this one. Just saying hello. Good evening, Keith and Jody and Gobo Broncos, blue and orange hearts, mile high salute from Mr. Ronquillo. My guess is that's probably going to be the stars right there, Michael. And if you have any questions, by all means, drop it in, man. Drop it in. We'd love to get your thoughts. Chris Abrams-Draine is an intriguing guy to me because in a cornerback room that's deep and has been deep, and we've been talking about how deep this cornerback room is, Chris Abrams-Draine remains on this roster and always teetering on that 53 and been put into position and played well. Now, I guess you have to put it into context, a fifth round pick in 2024, but I think what we're getting out of Chris Abrams-Draine, I think somebody's really liking what he does, and he's just a guy waiting in the wings. I'd like to get your take though on Chris Abrams-Draine. So,
no, I think he's a good depth piece. It would be interesting to see if they actually if he could ever get in, crack that starting role. I think it's going to be hard this year, especially with because you've got to see more from Jade Barron this year. So I think that makes it hard for him. And then what they do this offseason are Moss, Jaquan, Abrams, Drains. Who are they keeping around? You got to keep probably a couple of those guys around. And who are you keeping? Who are you paying? But when he comes in, he's serviceable. Doesn't embarrass himself out there, and he's a core special teams guy. So,
yeah. I would love just to see him play out. I mean, maybe it'll be on a different roster, a different team at some point. I think there's a lot of excitement around him, but obviously when you have a guy like PS2, you have a guy like Riley Moss, you have Jaquan McMillan, you've drafted Jade Barron, we'll talk about here in a little bit. Yeah, it's just in a position where he's kind of been pushed to the side, but I think there's enough talent there that they've wanted to keep him on this roster and found ways to keep him on this roster. They like him a lot. These next two guys, man, we could probably even double up, man, because they're no longer on this Denver Broncos team. Audric Estime, Devon Vele, has someone kind of alluded to a little bit earlier. We got a haul when we got Devon Vele, so we like what we got there. Audric Estime, a fan. I know that you were a fan of Audric Estime. Audric Estime, obviously coming out of Notre Dame. So I'll let you talk about a little bit both, but Estime didn't end up being the solution that the Denver Broncos end up going with. And Devon Vele, though, again, we have that kind of stacked wide receiver room once again. We got a pretty good haul in return for trading him out of Denver, out of Broncos country. So,
Audric Estime, I think he did have a couple fumbles, I think, in preseason, and I think that put him in the doghouse right away. But other than that, I'm not really sure why it went south with him. I mean, in my opinion, they kept two running backs that were far below him in Tyler Bidet and McMillan on this roster. So, but for whatever reason, him and Sean Payton weren't on the same page, and it didn't last very long. I mean, the writing was on the wall when you're starting in the final week of the season versus Kansas City, and then you're inactive in Buffalo for a guy that hadn't dressed in like 15 games or something. So
yeah,
it made no sense. That was one of the most head scratching decisions really that he's made in 3 years, Sean Payton.
Mm-hmm.
And then Devon Vele, I think when he got hurt last year and was kind of out the beginning of training camp and stuff, that really hurt him. That set him back. And then with Bryant's emergence and Troy Franklin taking that next step, and then really for where you drafted him and what you were able to get back from the Saints, it was almost a no-brainer.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I said, steal as far as what we got in return for Devon Vele, especially where our roster's at and how we are going to fit him in. We have a lot of pieces, obviously, today, as well as when we got rid of him or moved on from Devon Vele. But a fan favorite, loved Devon Vele. Wished him nothing but the best. Michael, I'm glad that you can see your stars on the Denver Bronco Roundup page. I'm right there on the Roundup page, and for some reason, it does not like me. It's okay though, man. It's okay though. Well, just call it out if I miss it. I'd love to give the recognition. Last one, man. Nick Gargiulo. This was a guy that we had high hopes for last year, and then goes down with an injury. It's kind of interesting because when it comes to rounding out this roster and maybe picking up a 2026 draft pick, there might be a little bit more competition now for Nick Gargiulo, but he was in line, and this team has a lot of faith in him, even as a 7th round draft pick, which is says a lot about who he is and what he could possibly be for this team.
Yeah, I definitely think before he broke his ankle right at the end of preseason, he was making the 53. I think him. I think the fact that he can play guard and center. I think him, Cage Casey, and Alex Forsythe are kind of in a battle for that interior guard position, and I throw Forsythe in there. He's been serviceable, but I think he's still in a battle with with Nick just because he was going to make the 53, and it would have been interesting to see what Denver would have done when Ben Powers got hurt. Would they have turned to him,
Mm,
or would they have moved Alex Polcheski still over there? It would have been interesting to see what they would have done. So um, I think that'll be a battle. Two of those guys will make it. I would say probably Cage Casey has a leg up just because of where he was drafted, but may the best men win there. So
yeah, I and I'm going to get to a comment here that's right along those same lines. Uh, Glenn's thinking I might have picked uh, picked a fight with Mr. Zuckerberg there because nothing in Meta is working for me. So maybe that's the truth. But we got good friends like Phil that are helping me out. He says I'm really excited to see what Gargilo lives up to see if Gargilo lives up to what he to what he showed last year until he got hurt. 100 stars from Phil. I think, like I said, Phil, I think you're not the only one who's excited because the Denver Broncos team, whether it be Sean Payton, or whether it be the just the and all of a sudden I've lost the name of the Zach Streif, offensive line coach, big Nick Gargilo fan as well. That's the name I was searching for. So you're not the only one, Phil. I think underrated kind of camp battle with Nick Gargilo coming back in that swing guard center tackle position that's behind the scenes trying to work behind the starters. Nick Gargilo should absolutely be in the mix. um might have to stop for just a quick sponsor break, man, and it's a great time to do it because well, sponsors are out there for you to go visit. Our sponsor, Morgan Trinkets, has been doing Southwest Jewelry, Southwest Pottery, and Estate Gold at wholesale prices for over 35 years. And now they hang out in Northern Colorado, Southern Wyoming, doing amazing shows like the Red Feather Lake Show. That's coming up the 25th, just right around the corner. That's this weekend. That's out at the Longmont Fairgrounds. Pearl's going to be out there, like I said, with all her wares. She told me she did have a little bit of silver left as well, and that's going at amazing prices because she bases it upon when she bought it, which is insane. She's not giving you the big markup. So a little bit of silver left at a fantastic price. That estate gold, amazing. Southwest Jewelry, Southwest Pottery, and by all means, check her out if you're out at the Red Feather Lakes show out at the Longmont Fairgrounds this weekend. So, Jody, we move on from 2024 to the 2025 draft class, and probably more questions here. I guess to start right off the bat, and we've talked about this before. Jahdae Barron, I think, when drafted in the first round, first we had a lot of questions about taking a cornerback at that position, and then secondarily, he ends up not really getting the start that we probably had anticipated because of great competition. I'm really interested in what your take is on Jahdae Barron as we kind of move from last year into this year, and we expect these guys to go out there and compete for positions once again. What do you think about Jahdae Barron as a first-round draft pick in 2025?
I mean, I was surprised kind of by the pick because we needed a tight end. There were running backs on the board that I think we could have taken. But I mean, Denver went best player available. He was the Thorpe Award winner out of college. He's kind of played all over, inside, outside, safety. So I think this year's going to be interesting to see. I think it'll tell you a lot where they are playing him. If he's playing in the slot a lot, I think that means McMillan may be the odd man out. If he's playing outside, Moss might be the odd man out. And so I think that'll tell a lot. But Denver's got to find a way to get him on the field. You can't have a first round pick that gets like 18% of the snaps on defense. You've got to find a way to get him on the field somehow. So whether that's whether that means you're more nickel and dime or whatever the case may be, you've got to get him on the field. So I think he played fine for what we've seen last year, but I still give it an incomplete because we just haven't seen enough of him to know what he is yet.
Yeah. I'm not disappointed. It's been 1 year, and just the competition that you have. We knew that Riley Moss was going to be taking the 2. We knew that PS1 was taking the 1. Jaquan McMillan surprised everybody at the 3 or the nickel or whatever you want to call it. But, at some point, we all know there's going to have to be a succession plan. And a lot of people have already been talking about, the future of Riley Moss. To go out there and have that succession plan already in the building. And you talked about, how great he was as a college athlete. And there's reasons why he was a first round talent through and through from just about any draft board. So I guess I'd like the succession plan. And I know that it's not showing out right now. But I think that the future is bright when it comes to Jahdae Barron. This is a guy, hey, we get around to round number 2 and we end up selecting RJ Harvey in 2025. And I was jumping around like Tom Cruise on an Oprah Winfrey couch. But that was my guy, man. I really liked RJ Harvey, but I will say this, man. I was hoping to see a lot more or a better version of RJ Harvey, especially with the amount of touches he got last year, especially once we saw J.K. Dobbins go down. So for me, when it comes to RJ Harvey, as excited as I am for him, I need to see a lot more, and a lot more might be in the form of competition in a 2026 draft pick as well. So RJ Harvey, though I love the talent, I think still has a lot to prove if he's going to be a long-term solution for the Denver Broncos roster.
Yeah, he's got to learn to run inside more. He liked to bounce a lot of stuff, and in college he could outrun guys, and in the NFL he cannot. So he's going to have to learn to be a little more patient of a runner and learn to run inside. He's going to have to learn to pass block a little bit better. But I will say he does have an elite skill out of the backfield. He is a great receiving running back out of the backfield. And he has a knack for the end zone. What do he have? I think he had double-digit touchdowns last year, didn't he? Or close to it. I mean,
yeah,
he's got a nose for the end zone. He's the one guy. If this offense is going to take that really next step, he becomes an elite runner, an elite all-around runner. Because, and we'll get to him in a little bit, I think there's a guy that was drafted this year that's going to push him for RB2 and probably be pushing for RB1 pretty quick.
Yeah, me and you might be in a little bit of agreement on that one as well. I think there is going to be some competition, but sometimes competition brings out the best in everybody. Maybe it ends up bringing out the very best in RJ Harvey. I will say a lot of people talk about that transition of going from a college game to an NFL game, and just the amount of wear and tear and games that you end up playing, especially playing against NFL athletes. You're not getting the easy defensive front, of whatever team you happen to play on your schedule. They're all difficult, and it's a long season, especially for a running back taking all those hits. It'll be interesting to see, like I said, him come back, be ready for an NFL season for real. Um, I saw a question in here, and the question was, and I know everything's working against me. Big E Bronco. We're going to give a little respect to Big E Bronco. A little off topic of what we're talking about. He just wants to know if there's any coaches in your mind, Jody, on other teams that you think could be on the hot seat going into this season. I know the Jets are one. He says Big E Bronco, obviously, making his first selection. Do you have another selection outside of the Jets as far as a hot seat coach, Jody?
Yeah, I think Todd Bowles in Tampa Bay is on the hot seat. I think that division is one of the worst in football, and the way they imploded down the season and failed to make the playoffs, um, especially with a top tier guy. Baker's probably up there as a fringe top 10 quarterback, and you couldn't make the playoffs in that division. And it's been that way the last couple years. So he, for me, is on his seat is scorching red hot.
Scorching red hot. Yeah. I mean, I I don't have another name that just like jumps right off the page for me. Um, it'll be an interesting season. I don't think that someone said the Raiders already.
I have another guy that should be on the hot seat too. I think Zach Taylor should be on the hot seat.
Ooh,
I don't think that he's. I mean, he has the best, and I will say Joe Burrows was hurt last year, but he arguably has the best quarterback in football, and they're just not getting it done for whatever reason. I think they've made questionable decisions. I know that's probably not all on him, but to not address this defense or offensive line, they finally have this offseason, but not to address it in the past and go spend that kind of money on two wide receivers made no sense to me. And you can see, look, not addressing your line, what it's done. Joe Burrow's missed pretty much all last season because of it. So,
yeah, I was looking up a stat as I was chatting with the guys in the comments on the Juice last night, our other podcast over here on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Joe Burrow in his NFL career has averaged 12.8 games per season. Missing on average, 4 or 5 games, per year. It's tough. It's tough to be a competitive franchise if that happens to be the case. So that might be as much as I was like Zach Taylor coming out, and but yeah, at some point you want to get the best out of what you have on that roster, and before it's gone, especially when it comes to talented quarterbacks, talented wide receivers. Maybe we got one round 3 in 2025. We end up picking up Pat Bryant. Pat Bryant, no block, no rock, sure hands. The only downside is the concussions that he ended up getting last year that put him on sidetracked him, set him back just a little bit. It'll be great to see Pat Bryant out there and competing in this wide receiver room that we keep talking about is so competitive. Besides the concussion, besides the injury, I don't know if there's much more that we could really ask for whenever we saw Pat Bryant on the field. Love what he brings. So kind of a home run for me. Just want those injuries to be okay.
yeah, I love I think he has great hands. I love the fact that he'll go over the middle. What you said, no block, no rock. And he's probably the one wide receiver that, in my opinion, I'd like to see take the biggest step this year for that number 2 spot. Not that and I'll say it again, not that I don't want Sutton on this roster. I mean, I'm a huge Sutton fan, but I don't like the idea of paying 2 wide receivers that kind of money, and he he's got the size and can do a lot of the things Sutton does. So if he can take that next step, that probably makes that conversation a little bit easier to swallow if you decide to move on from Sutton.
Yeah, there'll be some opportunities this year for some of these guys to, get to the field and I think prove what they have. I think it's only due diligence with the way the contracts line out that we'll see probably a little bit more of some of these players, and hopefully Troy Franklin is one of those guys because we loved what he brought when he came to the field. I'm going to put these next two guys together, man. We can talk about them: Savion Jones and Q Robinson. Now, I would the reason I'm going to put these guys together is I feel like the majority of last year, there was a lot of questions of when we're going to see Savion Jones, when are we going to see Q Robinson. Now, Q Robinson got some opportunities late, and he really poured it on, and I think showed what his potential could be. But Savion Jones, I think this is a place where A, there's going to be competition, and B, we're still going to kind of in a wait and see type of mode, but it'll be interesting to see the playing time for both Q Robinson and Savion Jones in this upcoming year, and what type of competition they bring to the table and have around them. So anyway, your thoughts on those two guys, man?
Savion Jones up to this point, I'll give a complete, incomplete because I think he dressed like 2-3 games maybe and never seen the field. So, but I think he's in that short list with Tyler Odienum, Malcolm Roach, depending on what they do with him, if they are going to give him a starting spot or let him be that rotational guy like last year for that JFM role. Someone's got to take that, and I think he's going to battle there. But he's a wild card because I have no idea what he's going to do. And then I think Q Robinson probably has the highest upside of really in anyone. I mean, I think is the reason that they're moving Jonah Ellis to inside linebacker. I think they loved what they seen in the playoffs from him, and I expect him to have from hardly dressing, some games not even dressing, to he's going to be outside linebacker number 3. He's going to have a big role next year, and I think he's going to have a breakout season next year.
Yeah. I hope so, man. I like what I saw at the very end of the season. I think he's going to be one of those. It could be that kind of springboard type of candidate here in training camp. We see that those guys take a big leap from one year to the next. Be watching a lot of Q Robinson. Savion Jones, you nailed it, man. A lot of competition. Didn't get to see him. Give him the incomplete grade and kind of move on. Glenn Ashley has been in here in the comments. You may have recognized him because he's been showing up on the Juice as a host. That's right, Glenn Ashley, part of the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, and he's part of our posse tonight, coming in here and saying Pat Bryant and Jeremy Crawshaw were the players that had the most opportunities to show out, and boy, did they. That brings me to this next pick in 2025 draft, Jeremy Crawshaw. Hey, special teams is sometimes overlooked. Our kicking game has been good, but our punting had been up and down, and there was question marks about why we released guys, but Jeremy Crawshaw ends up answering all those questions, in the year that he put out as a rookie. Only a couple like type of moments. Beyond that, solid performance by the rookie.
Yeah, I think other than really the Raiders game last year, I thought he, was more than advertised. I'd like to see him less on the field this year for obvious reasons. But I think he delivered. Not much more you can say about a punter. He's got a strong leg, as strong as anyone in the NFL. So, and he was, as the season got, went along, he was improving at those angle kicks and different things. So, and a lot of people probably overlook it, but the way this offense was, and the way they go in dry streaks for a long period of time last year, him just being able to flip the field was huge for this team. So, um, it's people you can look at it. It's not important until the punter's not important until he's important. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, it was a good pick in my opinion.
Yeah, fantastic. Glenn was saying that we can kick balls in Australia, fam. We started 2 years old, so that was good. By the way, I'm sure you already know. We'll take a quick timeout as Michael Ronquillo comes in and does update us that the Colorado Avalanche have lost 4-2 in their opening game, and it's all right, man. It's all right, man. Rebound, bounce back. At least it's a series, not like the NFL playoffs. More games to come. Last guy on this list, man. 2025 draft, man. But probably one of the more talked about guys in the 2026 offseason so far. Caleb Lohner, make a little bit of noise. He didn't make much noise last year. In fact, he was not to be seen, I guess you could say, as far as taking the field on game day. But a lot of talk about him this year. I know it could be certainly an incomplete grade, but any other thoughts on Caleb Lohner at this point?
Just a couple. I was always confused last year. His weak as his tight end room was, and as little as they were producing, why he wasn't able to at least dress, and he couldn't figure out a way. He have like 8 catches in his senior season, and like 6 of them were for touchdowns or something. But you couldn't figure out a way to use him in red zone packages or something down there, jump balls or something. Just get him on the field. And then from the first little bit in OTAs, it sounded like he impressed. I just hope it's not another Lucas Kroll. He's the greatest guy in camp last year, and that turned out to be nothing. I just hope it's not that. Because I think after obviously Ingram and Troutman are on this roster just because of what they're getting paid, and Troutman just signing that new deal. Other than that, to me, it's all up in the air. I mean, you got the 2 draft picks from this year that probably have a little, well, at least Jolie probably has a leg up just where they drafted him. They moved up in the round to get him. But everyone else down, Bentley, Caleb Lohner, Lucas Kroll. I'll probably even throw Nate Atkins in there, even though he probably has a leg up because he can play fullback and a little bit different things. How many tight ends do we keep and which ones? Because I could see any of those guys, being 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, how many ever they keep.
Yeah, and trying to figure out the shakeup behind maybe the one split position. It'll be interesting. Caleb Lohner, one to watch, but at least it's not Cecil Lammey telling us he's the best looking offensive weapon out there on the field. It's Sean Payton. It's Sean Payton. So, sorry, Cecil. Sorry, man. Didn't mean to. I had to call you out. Everyone knows. Everyone knows. Let's get on to 2026, man. I know that we might go a little bit of overtime here, but I don't know. Maybe we'll be on track because this, I guess, is the biggest group of question marks, right? As of right now, we've yet to see him hit the field. There's a lot of hope. There's a lot of excitement each and every year right around this time. Round 1, Tyler Onyedem. You struggle with Nick Gargiulo. It's going to be Tyler Onyedem for me. So that's going to be the one, man. Probably one of the more surprising picks just because of I don't know, skill position, where we thought this draft might go, where we thought the Denver Broncos will go. But give me your thoughts on Tyler Onyedem, as he was our first pick in 2026, man.
Um, there were I guess, in my opinion, there were probably other guys I thought I had rated higher at that position, but um, the more film you watch, I mean, he is a run stuffing tackle, and I have said before, if him being on the field more means a little less getting after the quarterback and more stopping the run, then I'm all for it, because as elite as this defense was last year, that was probably the one weakness, is there were multiple running backs that had decent games against this defense. So I'd like to see him, and I don't really care that he doesn't have a great pass move or anything. He can develop that, focused on stopping the run. And I think he'll be in a battle with Savion Jones and Malcolm Roach for that starting spot. To me, Malcolm Roach is the wild card, because I don't know. I mean, just off of what we've seen on the field, he should probably start, but I don't know if Denver likes him more in that rotational role, and they just want to leave him there because they can bounce him in, they can bounce him out. So I think him and Savion Jones, that's probably going to be the one battle to watch this training camp. Who grabs that starting spot?
It's funny because when we got DJ Jones, I was pretty excited about, what he kind of brought to the table. And Tyler Onyedem has similar properties. I really like his hands. I like the way that he works, in order to get guys off of him, in order to secure tackles at the line or maybe just behind the line of scrimmage. Now, like you said, is he a sack king? Absolutely not. But, the way that he works, is I just like the quick hand movement. I think that it'll really shine as time goes on, and competition in a place that I think that we could use some competition. Like you said, we don't know what we have in Savion Jones. Malcolm Roach has been oft rumored to be, no longer on the team. DJ Jones is starting to get a little long in his contract. So, this need to be addressed. And as even Paul says, defensive line has been more sought after type of position in the draft as of lately. Might
And
as well
I'll
just
add one thing too. Don't just look at stats and say, oh, he's not putting up or he's not producing out there, because I mean, if this guy's taking on double teams or that type of thing and he's freeing up other guys, he's doing what he needs to do. So it's not always as a defensive lineman like that. It's not always stats. So
yes, yep. It's kind of looking for offensive lineman stats,
Right.
You got to go watch the tape. And when you watch the tape on Tyler Onyedem, there's things to like. This next pick though and I'll let you run with this, is a guy that there's lots of things to like. And when we picked him up in round 4, Jonah Coleman felt like a little bit of a steal, man. I know that you've fallen in love with him. I think Broncos country are going to fall in love with him. The one thing I'll say is this is that competition that I was talking about for RJ Harvey that he needs to watch out for. Go ahead and go with the rest of it, Jody. I'll let you take the mic.
Yeah, I love this pick. He was my number 3 running back in this draft. He is J.K. Dobbins 2.0. I mean, they do the size of them, the way they run, the way they pass block, they're similar in a lot of areas. He's not the fastest running back, but that's fine. We had a running back here in the late 90s that wasn't the fastest running back that put up plenty of good stats. So, and if you listen to him, just the way he talks and carries himself, it sounds like when he meets, it's always a handshake when he meets new people. first thing he says, I'm brought here to protect Bo Nix, and that's my number one job. So he gets it right away. And he's proven, he's got tape to prove it. Go watch him pancake the linebacker from OSU. His name's escaping me.
Oh,
Sonny
Sonny Styles,
Styles.
yeah.
I mean, he put Sonny Styles right on his back. I think whether he starts out number 4 behind Tyler Bidet or not, he will be RB3 pretty quick, and by the end of preseason, he'll be pushing for RB2, RB2 carries and that type of thing. So he's going to be in the mix. And of all the things I think that the offense did bad last year, I think he improves this running game, and he can make it where it's, if him and Dobbins can stay healthy. Another topic that we had talked about is this offense ready to overtake this defense, carrying this team, and I think the running back position does that. So,
yeah, absolutely, man. I know we might have to keep the big debate on that topic for another night, because this ended up taking a little bit longer than I anticipated. So we'll end up wrapping up this, but it is a great question, and we need to get back to that, Jody, because that's, balances shift, and at some point your elite defense is taken over by your offense, and I think we're near that tipping point. Jonah Coleman could be, like you said, one of those weights on that side of the scale for the offense that really helps start tipping it in their favor as far as the strength of this team. Like I said, as much as I like RJ Harvey, Jonah Coleman, I think, brings just about everything you want from a running back to the table. I think, you mentioned a few of them, but he's a great receiver out of the backfield as well, so yeah, whether you're blocking or receiving on third down, I think that's where a true third down, a 3-down back comes into play, right? Because then you become a weapon in multiple aspects. It'll be interesting to see this competition play out. Got to be super excited about Jonah Coleman. This next one for me was the big question mark. What are we doing? But as time has, I've had time to let it all sink in. I feel a little bit better about Cage Casey. I didn't have him because we all had position groups. I didn't have him on as a very high ranked piece or a player on my board. So that's one of the reasons it kind of took me off guard. But I would like to get your thoughts on Cage Casey. He's going to be competing quite a bit in this upcoming training camp OTA.
Yeah, when they first took him, I wasn't high on it because it didn't make a lot of sense to me. Another tackle, I mean, whatever people think of Frank Crum, Denver is, I think, pretty much all in on Frank Crum. And then I think Alex Pacheski, they just signed him to like a 2-year deal. I think he's your right tackle in waiting. But when I heard they were going to move him inside, and you watch some tape and some different things, and his size and stuff, I think he will transition very well to playing inside at guard. And I think he'll battle Nick Gargiulo for that backup interior lineman spot. And then depending on, I mean, I don't know, but a lot of people say we're moving on from Powers next year. I kind of thought they were going to go that route this year, and he was one of the first that they said we're not moving on from, we're not touching his contract. So, but if that's the move that they make, I think he'll be in line to be a starter next year. So if he develops and, picks up the offense and that type of thing, I don't want to just pencil him in, but if it pans out and everything goes the way it should, I think he could be in line to be your starting left guard next year.
Yeah, there is that opportunity. And, from that swing guard tackle, it sounds like all indicators is he's going to play a side rather than play swing as much, but who knows? It'll all play out in training camp. A lot of speculation there. I do like the fact that we're adding a little bit of depth though on that offensive line. I do like the idea that he's played tackle, but obviously he can play. He's probably going to be pushed to the inside. I think it gives you a lot of opportunity for this roster, and he has a pretty good skill set, especially as a guard. Tackle might be that, as a lot of people are giving comparisons, that Will Campbell type of struggle, that could come about. Aloha to Patrick Wiltsey, though. Got to say aloha to Patrick. Thanks so much for coming in here. Join us on Facebook. It's good to see you, my friend. Finally, at this point in the draft, man, it seemed like we'd waited years. And it was around a 5th round pick in 2026, and we finally go out there and pick up a tight end. Justin Jolly, for me, at the time, the quality of the pick, loved what we did. And me and you are on a little bit different sides of Evan Ingram, but I'm basically ready to move on from Evan Ingram. I know he'll play out this year, but we need a replacement. And when you look at the skill set between these two guys, Justin Jolly and then Evan Ingram, I think they are very, very similar athletes, like the pickup, and we'll be looking forward to his development, man.
Yeah, I agree. He's a converted wide receiver in college to tight end. I mean, he runs great routes, great hands.
Mm-hmm.
Not the best of blocker, but I don't even really care. You keep all these other guys on this roster to block. So, I mean, Troutman, Nate Atkins, Lucas Kroll, those are blockers. And we've seen what an elite tight end who can't block can do in this offense in New Orleans. So can he put up numbers like Jimmy Graham? I mean, that's to be determined, but he has those type of traits, and they'll work on the blocking. I mean, that's an important piece of Sean Payton, and they'll work on that. But until that, he can go out and make plays. And so I love this. I love this as a tight end pickup.
I loved it too. It'll be interesting now. We got all this talk around Caleb Lohner. By the way, Michael Ronquillo. I had questions about this. I thought this was the case. Justin Jolie, or Jolie. So rather than Jolly, like I was saying it, but the competition is going to be interesting. Like I said, Caleb Lohner, and then like you were pointing out, it's a deep room, from anywhere from Nate Atkins to Troutman, and we have one more name to talk about even within this draft that should be not left out of the conversation. I guess he's in the same draft, and even though he's a 7th round draft pick, he's in that competition as well. But finally a tight end, man. It was good to see, and good to see that competition in that room maybe heat up from a rookie standpoint, and just not additions from a prior Sean Payton roster. I'm going to loop these guys all together, man. We had 3 7th round draft picks, man, and we can talk about them all together. Miles Scott, a cornerback, defensive back. Go out there and get Dallin Bentley, double up in that tight end room, and then finally go out there and get Red Murdoch as well. You can start wherever you want. I mean, a few question marks, obviously that secondary continues to add depth, and we've added one more piece here as well with Miles Scott. Red Murdoch and his ability to maybe go out there and get opportunities. It's going to be a special teams type of life for him, I believe. And then Dallin Bentley. I love the competition there. It's probably my favorite of the 3 picks. But your thoughts on these 3 guys, man?
I like Miles Scott. I like his size. He was a captain at Illinois. He was kind of a ball hawk there. I think he'll push for that number 3 safety spot. Him and Devon Keys and JL Skinner. That's going to be a battle there for that 3 and 4 safety spot. And then special teams. What he can. He's going to have to show special teams because that's how he's going to make this rock. That's how all 3 of these guys, maybe with the exception of Murdoch, just because the depth is so weak at linebacker. But they're all going to have to play special teams, and that's how they're going to make this roster. Dallin Bentley, he's probably a more complete tight end than Justin Jolie. He can block. He can receive out of the backfield. He is probably the one that I would say a Nate Atkins, a Lucas Kroll are probably the ones that they're probably the most worried about because he can block and receive, where those other guys are more just blocking guys. So it's going to be interesting to see, like we said with Caleb Lohner, after probably Adam Troutman, who is your 3, 4, 5 tight ends, and do we keep 5 tight ends? And then Red Murdoch, I think he led college football the last 2 years in tackles. He's a tackling machine. Be interesting to see how this translate. I mean, because he came from a smaller college in Buffalo, so how does this translate to the NFL?
Mm-hmm.
But he's got the size and everything, and depending on how Jonah Ellis pans out, this might be your start of the season. This might be your linebacker 3 for the inside. So
one thing that you mentioned about Red Murdoch now before, and I just want to bring this all together. Red Murdoch, you said, draws comparisons in your mind to what Alex Singleton brings to the table. And the funny thing that you also just mentioned this evening, Red Murdoch, small school, Buffalo, Alex Singleton, because I know this story because I've been rooting for him for quite some time, small school, Montana State University. So, it's very similar pathways. Now, Alex Singleton had it, like you said, and I kind of pointed out as well, had to earn his stripes on the special teams before he ever really got that opportunity to really shine at his given position. Maybe this is that guy that can take that similar path for Alex Singleton. And let's face it, at some point we'll be looking for that replacement as well when it comes to Alex Singleton. So it would be wild if it's another 7th round pick. I forget where Alex Singleton was taken, but he might have been even undrafted.
I think he was undrafted.
Yeah. So it'd be wild to have 2 stories very similar like that. So Mr. Irrelevant Parade, yes.
I heard something kind of weird the other day, and I mean, it is kind of weird. How do you think Denver, since they had the last 2 picks, how do you think they decided? Because Mr. Irrelevant gets all the notoriety and stuff. How did they decide who they were going to make Mr. Irrelevant? Or did they really even care?
It might have been that we don't really even care. But the one interesting thing I did hear is like Sean Payton was shocked at how many calls they were getting for that pick. People wanting to trade up, but it does make sense. It's like your last opportunity to contractually, make somebody come to your team rather than be begging for them to come to your team versus another team if they're undrafted free agents. So, because
I think now what really messes things up is, and Jeremiah Love said it. He said it after he got signed. I don't really have to spend any of this money I just signed because NIL afforded me that. So I think you're going to have guys, if they go undrafted, NIL, they're not going to go where they get the most money. They're going to, because they had NIL, they're going to go where they think is the best chance for them to see the field as early as they can. So,
yep, I agree. Yeah, a lot of I never realized this until I really started getting into football that, players at the very end of the, 7th round are just hoping that they don't get picked sometimes. It's like,
right.
I don't want to have to be, I don't know, freezing my butt off and Detroit, if I'm a Florida kid and I know that Miami has interest in me, and I might have an opportunity to go there instead. So it just it just
Yeah,
is
let me
wild.
pick where I want to go
Y-
play and battle, where I think fits me the best.
Exactly, where I have the best opportunity, where I'd like to go versus where I'm kind of forced to go. So, yeah,
Yep.
it's interesting. How do you come to that conclusion of who you pick with that very last pick? When you have those options, but I don't know. Hopefully it is one of those stories that we can look back upon and say, man, Mr. Irrelevant, I can't believe we took him to this height, man. This is the thing, man. Jody, we go through this list of 3 years of draft picks and we start talking about outright busts, guys that didn't even deserve to, maybe even be drafted to a team because let's face it, a lot of teams go through that. And I know that it's only 3 years back, man. But you look across this roster, these players that were selected, and the only guy that is out now, you know, there's nobody just out of the league, but not really in a conversation, I would say, is Audric Estime at this point. You know, after all these picks, man, the Denver Broncos, Sean Payton, George Payton, what they put together, the future that they put together, the depth that they have on this roster, man, you got to be happy about being a Broncos fan, living it up here in Broncos country with these type of picks.
Yeah, I agree. The only other ones that I might say um is the Savion Jones pick. I mean, for as high
Mm.
as you picked him last year, he couldn't even find a way to really dress most games. So that's going to be a heck of a leap. Almost not playing football for a whole year, and then now you're going to possibly pencil him in as a starter.
Mm. True. True. There's opportunities up and down this roster, like you said, but when you have a strong roster, it also it makes it difficult. We talked about all last year how this defense is maybe one of the top defenses in the league, so getting more snaps for another guy, not really your prerogative. You know what I mean? At that point, you're going for it. You know what I mean? So I understand. You'd like to see him out there competing and making sure that he gets those snaps. But maybe time will tell a little bit, man. All I got to say, man, went through this exercise, man. Super, super happy about this Denver Broncos team, the youth that they have on this team, the way that they're developing their talent, and I guess just the hats off, man, from scouting department all the way to the GM and the coach making these picks, man. Just a fantastic roster. I was very excited, man. Very excited, man. It's not this way for every single team, Jody.
No, I agree. I'm super excited. I thought going into this draft, you didn't have really any needs. I mean, you had some depth pieces you needed to fill, but other than that, you could pick players that you wanted, and if that meant overdrafting them, so be it, because you're going to get the guy you want, and that means you're in a good position where you don't like you're like 2024. You almost had to get a quarterback round one. You didn't have a choice. We didn't in any round this year. There wasn't like you have to get a running back. You have to get this. There was none of that. So, and that's a good position to be in. I mean, that's an all-around effort. The scouting department, George Payton, Sean Payton, all of them, and that's why I think number one, they have the best, if not the best roster in football. It's right up there, but they have the best roster in the AFC, and they are in 100% win now mode. So really, going into year four, where they've taken, you just look at, and I just go back to the end of the Hackett era when you seen Mike Purcell and Russell Wilson, or more Mike Purcell just going at it with Russell Wilson coming off the field, and that debacle at the end of the season to where we are now is, and as fast as we did it, I mean, playoffs and his second year and stuff has been pretty incredible. So
Agreed, my friend. Agreed, man. Well, before we get out of here, man, I'll get some final thoughts in, man. You can get your ideas around some final thoughts. My biggest thing is thanks for everybody that's being here, posse members coming in here, conversation, the questions, even if they get off a little bit off track. Sometimes we take on some topics that wasn't part of the agenda, man, but it was a fantastic conversation. And it's fantastic talking about this Denver Broncos team that continues to build and progress. We're Super Bowl bound, like you said. We're all in, Jody. It'll be a fun season to watch this all play out. Secondarily, man, my star givers. I know that we had all our posse members in here, but Phil McLaughlin, Michael Ronquillo, those are the two that let me know, because I'm on Mark Zuckerberg's bad list, I guess, because I can't figure it out over on the side here, my friends. But thanks for keeping me honest and making sure you get the recognition. We appreciate you a ton. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification button. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We love having these conversations with you all year long. There is no off season when it comes to the Denver Broncos. Thanks for the shout outs too, for thinking this is a great idea for a pod. Jody, some final thoughts from you, my friend.
Just last one for me. The sooner Bo Nix throws, the sooner we can stop hearing about his ankle and how hurt he still is and stuff. I'm over that. I'm on the side of, he went in, it was a cleanup procedure. They knew about it. He's where they want to be. Did that set him back maybe a couple weeks or whatever? Maybe, but it's just that time of the year, clickbait and looking for stories and different things to put out there. So the sooner he throws, the better, so that all that stops. And then the next thing for me, I'm excited to see what this offense is going to look like. Is it just a new play caller, or is he going to throw some wrinkles in that really can take this offense to the next level? So,
yeah, it will be. It's the next evolution. We've seen this roster changeover. We've seen coaching changes per se, but when you start talking about new OC, Davis Webb, it's a new evolution. It'll be a fun one to watch. Phil McLaughlin saying, great show tonight, guys. How many years has it been that we've have to try and figure out what players to keep? 100 stars, man. Thanks again, Phil, with the 100 stars. You're absolutely right, man. It's been a long time since we're trying to figure out, what amazing talent might have to walk out the door, because our roster is that stocked full. And this was just another great exercise and great podcast to kind of show us that is the case. But hey, we've hung out for like an hour and 20 minutes. Y'all appreciate the hanging out and talking some Broncos football with us, going through the 2024, 2025, and 2026 draft classes, just showing you how amazing your Denver Broncos are. That being said, Jody, I think it's time we get out of here, man. I guess the way we always do. As soon as I get all my everything all lined up over here, there we go. I'm all ready to go. We're going to keep our boots in the stirrups. We're going to keep our guns in the holsters. And until next episode, remember, keep the Denver Broncos right there in your heart. We got to get out of here. Have a great night. Have a great week, everybody. Can't wait to see you on Saturday.